The suit season, Lord. I've always worn a miracle suit, and I'll talk about that in just a minute, but I did a show for a group here in Knoxville. They were darling. And after I did it, a woman came up to me and she goes, Leanne, are you not going to Sears and buying you a swim dress? And I thought, well, I didn't know my life was over. So she said, you need to go to Sears or order it online with Leanne's In. And it's a swim dress. She goes, you're going to love it. I promise you. Okay, so I go to Sears at Westtown Mall. When's the last time any of y'all went to Sears at Westtown Mall? There's not a soul in the Westtown Mall Sears. They've got the lights on. There's nobody working. There's nobody there shopping. I swear I think they're running dope out of Sears. But I got me a swim dress, and I am beautiful in it. And I'll tell you why, because it shows my arms. My arms, the only thing I've got left living for. And they are my daddy's. Jimmy Fletcher, I got them from him. My sister gets so mad because she didn't get them, and she'll call me and say, you got daddy's arms, and just hang up on me. But this swim dress, okay, it cinches up through here, so it's real flattering right there. And then it comes down and hides all this boogity-boo I got going on right here. And I am beautiful in it. I hate to say that. It kind of looks like Titanic, but for years I wore a miracle suit. Okay, the miracle suit is in Dillard's and Bell, Macy's, or all over. And there'll be hundreds of them in a big area at a department store. And there's a tag hanging from all of them that says, miracle suit. Lose 10 pounds in 10 minutes. And you do, because you sweat yourself to death trying to get it on. Because the miracle suit has a girdle in it. They're one piece. So the girdle is right through here, so it smooths you out real pretty through here. You look really good because it squeezes your fat out in all the other directions, all the other holes. And I would buy it because I felt desperate and I didn't know what else to do. And I didn't feel pretty in them, and then I'd buy a sarong and wrap it around my whole body, and then sit under an umbrella and act like I was reading. But I bought them every year. I had them all the time, and I look back in videos from vacations, and I've got them on, and it's awful. Okay, so my girlfriend, the one with poop, you remember her? Okay, she found out that I had one. She was like, oh my gosh, I want one. So she drove down from Greenville, Tennessee, and they went to the Dillard's, and she brought her 14-year-old daughter with her, and they got in the dressing room at Dillard's, and the 14-year-old was sacking her mama up in this bathing suit. And her 14-year-old said, Mom, this is so gross. Put it back, let's get out of here. She said, I can't, I've got to buy it, I just peed in it. Who do you think's easier to raise? I mean, just yell it out, boys or girls? Boys. Boys. Every once in a while, a little frail woman will yell, girl. And she's probably being threatened. But anyway, no. We love our girls. I love my girls. I truly do. And I know that when I'm in the nursing home, they'll be the ones to come and pluck my chin hairs. Because my boy will be off with his wife and her people. Because he said to me, he brought her home and he said, "You got a terrible look on your forehead." And I said, "Oh, it's nothing against her. It's just I'm jealous because I thought you would only love me." I know that's twisted. I know it is. But he was the best thing that ever happened to me. All right, my kids all yell at me and my husband, everybody's in a bad mood all the time. And he's the only one that's never fussed at me. And he was just the sweetest child growing up. And so when he said he was going to marry somebody and move off, it was awful. But let me say that I love her. And they live near us. And she's like another child to me. And it has been a blessing. She is very sweet and has forgiven me for my forehead looks. But anyway, but he said to me right before they got married, he goes, "Mom, she's going to be my immediate family. You're now my extended family." He said, "Mom, that's biblical." I thought, why did I show him the Bible? Let me tell y'all about him. He's an old soul. Have you ever met anybody that was an old soul? He was born an 80-year-old man. He has had a garden since he was in 6th grade. He plays the mountain dulcimer and the banjo. He woodworks. He makes spoons. He makes spoons. I mean, he is so yummy. All right, his favorite music is gospel bluegrass. His favorite, okay. Ding-a-ding-a-ding. All right. His favorite artist was Dr. Ralph Stanley. Dr. Ralph, look at you. Look at you. Knowing who Dr. Ralph Stanley is. Okay, for those of you who don't, he was on the Oh Brother Where Art Thou. That is probably the most famous thing he did. But he was the godfather of Mountain Soul. He ended up dying at like 92. He had a little cowboy hat propped on his head. Yummy. Okay, he would come through Knoxville and I would take my son to see Dr. Ralph when my son couldn't drive. They propped little Dr. Ralph up on stage because he was so old. I almost threw my panties at him because that's what you do to Tom Jones. And I love him. But anyway, I'm standing there listening to Dr. Ralph Stanley singing gospel bluegrass, and I think to myself, how many teenage boys are listening to this? What are teenage boys listening to? Rihanna, Walk a Flock of Flame, some of that nasty goings on. I thought, wouldn't it be funny if I had to yell at my boy, turn that gospel bluegrass down. You're out of control. If I hear I saw the light one more time. My second baby is my oldest daughter who's about to graduate from the University of Tennessee. She's 22. And let me tell y'all, I know every crow thinks theirs is the blackest, but let me say that she is a beauty. And she is smart, and she's done very well in school, and she's in a sorority and done well with her sorority, and she's athletic, and she's mean. And we're scared to death of her. We walk on eggshells around her. She's not mean to other people or in public. She holds it in so that she can come home and like spew it out onto me. That's okay. That's God's way. But this is what I think happens. When she was a junior, her summer between her junior and senior year, I think that God allows this to happen. And you little girls, that your babies aren't this old, just listen to me. All right, one day they'll just turn on you. And you'll think, who in the world is this? Who's coming down the steps in the morning? We don't know who this is. I think that God allows that because he knows that you're about to let your baby go off to college or whatever they're going to do, and he knows that you're grieving. So he makes them just as mean as he can so that you can let them go. And I believe that. That summer, the very breath that I breathed out of my nostrils made her so angry. We were not allowed to eat cereal in our own home because she couldn't stand to hear us chew. I don't mean to talk about her because she had a lot on her. She had to empty the dishwasher. Stuff like that. That's so hard. Okay, let me tell you about an example when she was probably your baby's age, y'all's little children, because y'all are so cute. Look, their thyroid's still functioning. Y'all still got hair. Good for y'all. Y'all got on little breeches. Yay. Okay. When my middle one, when she was in elementary school, I was so blessed that I got to take them to school and pick them up every day in my minivan. And I would watch them come out, my girls, and I saw them. They were in a good mood. I saw it. All right, they would be goosing each other and waving to all the little children and the principal. See you tomorrow. Okay. Then they come over to my minivan, get in, slam the door. That middle one would take her backpack and sling me in the back of the head with it. She'd say every day something like, I'm starving to death. You don't have a piece of cheese in this car? Your driving's making me car sick. I hate her. Why did you have her? And the baby be sitting over the back, she'd be going, Mom, 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 Mom. And I'd say, what? And she'd go, Mom, 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 Mom. I go, what? I'm listening. She could say some of the craziest things. She said to me one day, did Jesus ever have head lice? How do you answer that? I said, well, baby, I don't know. But if he did, I know he healed it. And they'll be whipping each other and telling each other how bad they hate each other. And then my boy would come out of middle school. He'd get in the car and say something like, you know, they're building a new Home Depot up on 281. Just as happy-go-lucky. So precious. Well, all over the United States, they've got this thing called competition cheer. And it's kind of like, if you don't know what that is, it's kind of like Honey Boo Boo meets the Olympics. Really. It's gymnast. They're gymnasts. And there's one in Knoxville called the Sharks. And they said, drop your baby off and she can try out to audition, whatever you want to call it. So I dropped her off and they ended up putting her on a bad Mama Jamma team because all the little children her age came up to hear on her. And somebody's got to throw them up in the air. So they were thrilled with her and they treated us like royalty. But anyway, they said, you're going to come in here twice a week, learn a 2-minute routine. It's going to cost you $150 a month. It's like, okay. They said, there's a uniform that you're going to order, and it comes to here. It's going to expose her stomach. She's going to have a tiny skirt on with a slit in it with a glitter panty underneath it. It's $300. I said, that's a whore outfit. And it came with its own bag of whore makeup. So that all the little children could look alike. And they said, y'all are going to travel to faraway lands and compete against other little whore children. So we went to like Cincinnati or Atlanta. And we had to get hotel rooms and the gas and all of that. And then you drive up to a big coliseum, a huge coliseum. And there's tens of thousands of little whore children walking around. And my husband said, there could be pedophiles here. This is the ugliest thing I've ever, something's not right. Okay, so then they said, you're gonna pay $150 for your baby to be in this competition. You're gonna have to pay $30 to put a band on to get in and watch your baby in this competition. Somebody was selling corn dogs for $15. Okay. They start out with the babies, so it goes from 5 to 18 ages. So the babies come out in a tiny little skirt about the size of a napkin. And they come out to Beyonce's All the Single Ladies. And their little mamas are in their 20s. And they're not bitter yet. And they're in the front doing every move to keep their baby on track because they're babies and they need to be at home breastfeeding. So they move up throughout the day into my baby's age, and they're the reef sharks. They call out that name, honey, for 2.5 minutes. My baby throws little children up in the air, flinging little children, broken out in a sweat, working like a Trojan. Did you see my Spanx? Okay. All right. One of my girls said I look like Miley Cyrus in the Wrecking Ball in my Spanx. But anyway, so she throws these little children up. The little children she's throwing up in the air are the flyers. They call them the flyers. And they're freakishly tiny little children. I don't know where these people come from. Their mamas are freakishly tiny. I mean, I come from big people. I've got thick ankles. I can work in the fields. And the whole time she's throwing up in the air, these little girls are going. Knows why, really. So at the end of the routine, after the 2.5 minutes, the finale, everybody hunkers down on the stage, puts their forehead on the stage, and my baby is the finale. She pops up and has a little child's foot in her hand and holds that child's foot. I would put it all the way up, but my dress is tight in the back. But anyway, she holds this little child up over her head. Are y'all listening to me? I mean, it was a big deal. I mean, could you hold her up over your head or vice versa? I mean, you know, it's a big deal. So anyway, everybody went nuts. But she said, after it was over, she goes, I'm tired. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to go back to playing. She ended up playing volleyball the rest of her childhood. But she said, I'm keeping that whore outfit. She said, I'm going to get married in it. I took to the bed and I ate chocolate-covered blueberries that you get at Target. And I found Netflix and I binged watched Scandal. Have y'all seen Scandal? That first season, the chemistry between the two main characters. I think something's really going on. Anyway, it set me on fire. And so I laid up in the bed and watched that and like ordered Jimmy John's from my bed. And my husband said, are you all right? But I ended up getting sciatica from laying in the bed. I didn't get bed sores. I got sciatica and then ended up having to get physical therapy that cost $1,000 because of my deductible. But anyway, I grieve so much over my kids being gone. All right, so when my husband gets home, he's as sad as I am. When he gets home, we just stare out into space. And he's very quiet. He's an introvert. He doesn't talk. He doesn't chat. So I just sit and talk to myself. And we have 2 beagle hounds, and we just sit and kiss them in the mouth. And they are yummy. and we go to bed. And a lot of y'all look really young in here, and I'm gonna scare y'all to death, but I'm gonna tell y'all, look at these young girls right here. I'm gonna tell y'all what your future is gonna be, okay? All right, when you get to be about your mid-40s, you're gonna start a thing called perimenopause. It's before you go through menopause, and it makes you crazy. And you sweat in the bed at night. Okay, and all your hormones get messed up. All right, I go to the bedroom, and I am so hot at night that I put the air on 68 because I don't want to die. My husband puts it back up on 70. And he says, you're freezing me to death. He's having to wear pajamas for the first time in our marriage. Okay. He said, I can see my breath. That's a lie. But I know he is cold because one time he had to wear a toboggan. But anyway, we get in the bed, and that big beagle, who is 10 years old, a boy named Augie, who is so sweet, my husband spoons him in the bed. And then we've got a new little beagle that is a pocket beagle, and her name is Gigi, and she is so yummy. And she had a nervous tick when we got her, and she ate our couch. But other than that, I love her. And she gets in the bed, and she backs her little butthole up against my head at night, right here. And when we get, all right, so when my husband spoons that big one will wall his eyes at me and looks like, I don't want him. I want you. So when my husband drifts off to sleep, that big beagle scoots over and then gets in the crook of my legs. So through the night, I break out in a sweat because I'm in perimenopause, and it's right here in the back of my neck. Dr. Oz said it. Okay, so then I'm sweating like I've done Zumba all night. And my husband snores. It depends on if he's put on weight. If he's stressed out at work, he'll put on weight. He'll eat a bunch of white flour. And then he snores a different way. But if he's playing tennis and he's watching what he eats, this is really how he snores. He starts going, pew, pew, pew. It's enough to kill you. Okay, you can set a watch by it. Sometimes it's just a puff of air, and it's on my head with a butthole right here, with a big beagle right here. So that's your nighttime routine of perimenopause. Look at how beautiful they are. See, they still have their bloom. Good for y'all. Y'all are probably out doing yoga. Okay, I have given up. All right. That lives here in Chattanooga has always had a lot of suitors coming around and wanting to date her. And she had this one, and he was I wouldn't say an Eddie Haskell, but he was a schmoozer. Like he knew he was a player. Okay? Their daddy's not a player. Okay, my husband, he doesn't chat. Like he vacuumed out my car when he was dating me, and he bought my cigarettes, so that's how we started. But anyway, it was the 80s. But anyway, the young people call it player, some fast-talking boy. She had this fast-talking boy coming around, and he would say to me things like, Miss Morgan, you look beautiful today. And I was like, can I make you a casserole? Thank goodness they broke up, because I was exhausted. I was mopping the floor and blowing my hair out every day. My girls are emotional, and I don't mean to talk about them because I love them and I know they'll visit me in the nursing home. But They are lunatics. My husband says they're psycho and they need therapy. And I'll give you all an example. I can be in the pickup line at school, and this has happened when they were in first grade, and it happens every day when I pick them up at school now. I'm sitting in the pickup line, and I can see them come out, and they are in a good mood. And they're goosing each other and giggling and doing and talking and having a good time. They're waving to the teachers and the principal. See you tomorrow. Okay. Then they come over to my vehicle. Get in. Shut the door. My 11-year-old take her backpack and sling it and hit me in the back of the head with it. Every day she says something like this. I'm starving to death. You don't have a piece of cheese in this car? Your driving's making me car sick. I hate her. Why'd you have her? And then my baby will be sitting up there in a daze. She'll be going, Mama, 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 Mama. What? Mama, Mama, Mama. What? I'm listening. She asked me some of the craziest things. One day she said to me, did Jesus ever have head lice? How do you answer something like that? I said, well, baby, if he did, I know he healed it. And then my girls be whipping each other in the back seat and telling each other how bad they hate each other and they wished each other were dead. And then my sweet boy will come out. He'll get in and he'll say, you know, they're building a new Home Depot up on 281. And I know that I eat emotionally, but I never wanted to ride around in a minivan on dope or alcohol with little children in the car. I didn't want to drink whiskey. So my kids would get to fighting and my husband would say something hateful like, what have you done all day? And that would make me so mad and I'd eat a hot dog and I didn't even know what happened. But Weight Watchers has a point system. So say you get like 23 points out of the day and you got to go within those points and they'll say, fruits and vegetables are free. You don't want fruits and vegetables. When you first start, you're so hungry that you could eat the wallpaper off the wall. A chicken breast is 3 points. A Snicker bar is 12 points. That's what you want. I've been known to be in the closet turning a lamp on and off, eating a sleeve of Chips Ahoy cookies. So I try to stay within my points. All right, my sister will go on it every time I will, and she lives in Clarksville, Tennessee, and she'll call me and she'll say, it's noon, and I've eaten all my points. Taylor Swift is running the United States of America. But don't y'all know that Taylor Swift looks at that big old Kelsey boy's mama and thinks, look at her, she's got on a sensible shoe. She's got on a sensible shoe and a nice jean, a high waist with some stretch. And don't you know that Taylor Swift is thinking, I know that little doll put in a pot roast in the crock pot before she came to this NFL football game so that they would have something to eat when this thing was over. And you know that his mama browned that roast in a skillet. with flour. I know. Of course she wants to have a baby with him and his people. Anyway, thanks for letting me go off on that rant. It's just been on my mind. I'm worried sick. There's 5 love languages, and you get the book, you read the book. Well, you don't really, I don't read the book. But anyway, you take the test, and it tells you what your prominent love language is out of those 5, and it tells you what your partner's love language is. So then you can go home at night and feed your partner their love language. And they can feed you your love language, and then your love tank feels full. And if you don't do it, then your partner's liable to go to work and they're at the water fountain and some whore comes in. Hot flashing lightning. You are too, you angel. Do you have sweat going down your crack? You do? Yeah, I do too. I do too. Yeah, it's not fun. Yeah. I'd hate to have to get out here and date. Let me tell you that, Tiny, because there's an odor. But I said, baby, you know, before you know it, one thing can get out of hand. You've got your arm around somebody, and then you've got your hand on her leg. You know, things can get out of control. He looked at me like I was crazy. And he said to me, Mom, I've prayed about this. Nothing like that's going to happen. And I know he meant that. And all I could think of to myself was some of the nastiest things I ever did was at the Adams United Methodist Youth Fellowship on a hayride. I don't know what it was about hay that set me on fire. I wish it did now. I could get a new purse out of that. My husband and I both play sports, and we love sports. And I know y'all are thinking, you sissy thing, you didn't play sports, but I did. I should have cared more. I was worried about my hair, but anyway, we loved it. And we pushed our 4-year-old, our oldest, when he was 4, we made him do T-ball. And I was thinking about it because it's T-ball season right now. And T-ball, if you don't know anything about T-ball season, it's about 110 degrees outside. The games last about 3 hours. It's little children with looks like they got a pull-up on under their baseball pants. Nobody ever hits the ball, throws the ball, makes contact with the ball. My boy hated it and laid in a fetal position on his glove the entire season. And every once in a while, he'd pop his little head up and say, water. And my middle child was about 2.5 at the time, and I said, please take your brother bottled water out there to the field. And she was 2.5. She had her crown and her wand and her tutu and her pink prostitute shoes from Walmart on. And she went running out to the field and stopped and got a glazed look over her eyes, pulled her panties to the side, and pooped in the T-ball field. I had to run out there and get a stick and flick it into the woods because I didn't want another child to step in it or think it was a milk dud. But he refused to play sports until he was probably about in middle school. He was so traumatized by all of that. I'll never forget the day that I found out about her, and I feel terrible about it now. But I was overwhelmed. I knew something wasn't right. I didn't feel good. I thought, oh my gosh, surely I'm not pregnant this quick, this soon. And you know when you got to know something, you got to know it right then. I had to know right then. I grabbed up my 2 babies and diaper bag and all that stuff you take with you everywhere you go, and I went to the Walmart in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. And I bought an EPT pregnancy test, and I took it in the stall at Walmart. And I tinkled on it. And my 3-year-old boy looked at me. He said, "What, is it positive?" And it was. So I drove home just as fast as I could. And I called my husband at work. And I said, "You're trying to kill me, aren't you? With a slow vaginal death. Is that what you're trying to?" "Well, you're not going to. You better get home right now, because I'm going to walk out in the woods and let the animals eat me." But let me explain to y'all why I was so torn up. I had a 13-month-old baby girl in diapers and a 3-year-old little boy in Superman panties with doo-doo balls falling out. At the grocery store. I thought, oh my Lord, did anybody see that? I don't have anything in my purse to pick it up with. Is some little child gonna think it's a milk dud? Let's just keep on moving, everybody. Just keep on moving. But God knew better than I did, because she's been a doll baby, but she's ruined. And I know I'm the one who did it. I was tired and beat down. So, anybody here who has more than 2, you know, good night by that 3rd and 4th one, you gotta let them do what they gotta do, you know. She still cries over anything. She cries because she knows she gets her way. I said, "What's she crying about?" "She wants your toy." "Well, just give it to her." I can't deal with it. I'm in love with my girls. I'm in love with them, and they're my best friends, especially as they get older. And I know that when I'm in the nursing home, they'll be the ones to come and pluck my chin hairs. But he has been from heaven. Okay, it's so wonderful. All right, well, he got married in September, and when he started bringing his wife around us, he would say to me, "You have a terrible look on your forehead." And I would say, "What? I don't know what you're talking about." But he said, "Mom, she's my best friend, and I want to marry her." They met in college at Berry College. And he said, "She's going to be my wife." And so I tried to, it wasn't anything against her. It was anybody that was going to come in and take my boy, because he's the best thing that's ever, all right, he's like the best of their daddy. He's like everything their daddy can't be. Does that make sense? So right before the wedding, he said, "Mom, she is my immediate family now. You're my extended. I'm supposed to cleave to my wife. That's biblical." And I said, "Why did I show him the Bible?" But they had a beautiful wedding, and really, when I got in there and the Holy Spirit was there, and God was in it, and I knew they were supposed to be together, and I love her. I mean, I love her. She's like another daughter to me now. And but I was freaked out, but everything is okay now. And then I got to thinking, how psycho am I that I want to keep him forever and have him live in the basement and be a weirdo. You know, that's twisted. So I was able to let him go. And I love her. She's like another child to me. All over the United States, they've got this thing called competition cheer. And it's kind of like, if you don't know what that is, it's kind of like Honey Boo Boo meets the Olympics, really. It's gymnast. They're gymnasts. And there's one in Knoxville called the Sharks. And they said, drop your baby off and she can try out to audition, whatever you want to call it. So I dropped her off and they ended up putting her on a bad mamma jamma team because all the little children her age came up to hear on her. And somebody's got to throw them up in the air. So they were thrilled with her and they treated us like royalty. But anyway, they said, you're going to come in here twice a week, learn a 2-minute routine. It's going to cost you $150 a month. It's like, okay. They said, there's a uniform that you're going to order, and it comes to here. It's going to expose her stomach. She's going to have a tiny skirt on with a slit in it with a glitter panty underneath it. It's $300. I said, that's a whore outfit. And it came with its own bag of whore makeup. So that all the little children could look alike. And they said, y'all are going to travel to faraway lands and compete against other little whore children. So we went to like Cincinnati or Atlanta. And we had to get hotel rooms and the gas and all of that. And then you drive up to a big coliseum, a huge coliseum. And there's tens of thousands of little whore children walking around. And my husband said, there could be pedophiles here. This is the awfulest thing I've ever, something's not right. Okay, so then they said, you're going to pay $150 for your baby to be in this competition. You're going to have to pay $30 to put a band on to get in and watch your baby in this competition. Somebody was selling corn dogs for $15. Okay. They start out with the babies, so it goes from 5 to 18 ages. So the babies come out in a tiny little skirt about the size of a napkin. And they come out to Beyonce's All the Single Ladies. And their little mamas are in their 20s. And they're not bitter yet. And they're in the front doing every move to keep their baby on track because they're babies and they need to be at home breastfeeding. So they move up throughout the day into my baby's age, and they're the reef sharks. They call out that name, honey, for 2.5 minutes. My baby throws little children up in the air. So they said, you're going to, for 10 weeks, you're going to do CrossFit 3 days a week, and you're going to do the paleo diet. The paleo diet is what God put upon this earth to sustain us. And He knows what we need. So it's lean meats, fruits, vegetables, nuts, berries, and seeds. So if you can run it down and kill it, dig it out of the ground, pick it off of a bush, you can eat it. That means no dairy, no grains of any kind. But when they take you lean meats, fruits, vegetables, nuts, and berries, you think, that's not so bad. Okay, but no dairy, no grains. When's the last time anybody in here got off of white flour? Anybody, can you clap? Can you clap or are you too weak? Anybody here been hooked on heroin? Anybody? I've never been hooked on heroin, praise God, but I was raised watching Shaft. I don't know if y'all watched that when y'all were little on TV, and they would always have somebody getting off of heroin. It looked like a booger. It looked like an awful booger. And I'm not trying to belittle that, but I'm telling you, I shook getting off of sugar and white flour. I was drinking coffee 24 hours a day. My teeth got yellow. I had to have those bleached. My husband said, you are so hateful. Will you please eat a piece of white bread? But Church of God Beacon, I did it, honey. We did it. And I mean, then they took our after picture. It took, 10 weeks later, and I did not lose that much weight. It was like 8 or 9 pounds, but my body turned into somebody else's body, honey. And it was pretty cute. And I leaned out and I thought, oh my gosh. And so then they took our after picture, and I made sure I got a spray tan. And I had a really good bra on, and I took that picture. And I'm ashamed to tell y'all, but I won that competition. No, stop. I don't deserve to be applauded. I know y'all are thinking, oh gosh, Leanne, that's wonderful, but what happened? What happened, Leanne? I'll tell you what happened. I did okay for about 3 weeks, and then I spotted a tortilla. That's what happened. I want to talk to y'all about, because I am 51 and going through hormonal changes. Okay, I am with their daddy, and these children all walked off and left me with him. And he's so not fun. And he can't help it. He's that way because he has to make a living for all of us. And he's got a lot on us, and all the money's going out the window. And, because we got 2 in college, we just had 1 get married. But he and I are having to adjust being together for the first time in how many years, before we got married. And so he sends me emoji, kissy faces, and stuff like that. But I am low on progesterone and testosterone. He's low on testosterone, praise God. I've got too much estrogen, which evidently makes you hateful and bitter and angry. And so I sweat all night, just like I've done jazzercise in the bed all night. And I wake up, I've got sweat right here in the back of my head. My head just looks like fuzz in the back. And my husband, okay, so I put it on 67, and he says, I can see my breath. And that's a lie. But he's having to wear pajamas for the first time in our marriage. And we've got 2 beagle hounds that we're in love with because his children are gone. And so we've got a big one, and he takes the big beagle and spoons the big beagle at night. And I've got the little beagle, the little pocket beagle that we rescued, and she's got a nervous tick and eats our furniture and our fabric like a goat. But anyway, they sleep in the bed with us, and the bed is so nasty. Okay, so the little beagle, so he's spooning the big one. The little beagle backs her little butthole up to my head. And sleeps up against me all night. I love her. And in the morning, I can hear my husband when he gets up, he's kissing that big beagle, and he's going, and I'm so thankful. Years ago, when it first came to Knoxville, I was traveling with Paula Dean, and she had these bodyguards that looked like movie stars, and I said, what do y'all do? And they said, CrossFit. And I said, well, I want to do it. Well, me and my friend, Church of God, Becky, Church of God, Becky and I joined the CrossFit in Knoxville. The CrossFit was run at the time by these little children. They were in their early 20s, and they were beautiful. And they looked like movie stars, and their little fannies looked like baseballs. And I wanted my fanny to look like a baseball. So I made Church of God Becky join, and she'll do whatever I say. So anyway, and I call her Church of God Becky because she was raised Church of God, so sweet, sheltered. Like I have to explain things to her. Things like camel toe. So we first get to the CrossFit. And if y'all don't know what CrossFit is, it's military moves like push-ups, pull-ups, burpees. I hate a burpee. Okay, all these things, they would put like a tractor tire in the parking lot, and they'd set little Becky in it, and I would pull Becky across the parking lot as she was holding her purse. So I felt like a bad mama jamma, and I was so tickled and into it. And they came to us one day and they go, "We want y'all to be in our contest. It's called a paleo contest. And it's going to be 10 weeks long. The men are going to be against each other and the women, and we're going to take your before and after picture, and whoever's body has changed the most at the end will win 3 months of free training." And I wanted to win that 3 months of free training because I didn't want to have to do something vulgar to my husband for the money. So we're going along, and one day they just pop up and go, "Okay, it's picture day." We're like, "What?" And they said, "Okay, take your top off and leave your exercise bra on and your spandex, your yoga pant, and we're going to take your picture." Well, I didn't want those young boys to not ever want to marry and have children. So I said, "Becky and I are going to the back." And I needed to biz my bra so bad. It had no support to it, and it was a gray looking, it was white, but I needed to biz it overnight. I did not know. Anyway, we go back to the office, and I'm going to take Becky's picture, and she's going to take mine. And Becky went. And I said, "What are you doing, Becky?" "Do you want to win this thing?" "I want to win it." So I took my spandex and shoved it under my stomach and went. That picture is on the internet. But I wanted to tell y'all that my new obsession, what I've gotten obsessed over, because I love sports, I love football, is I've been watching quarterbacks on Netflix. And if y'all have not seen that, y'all got to watch it. They follow 3 quarterbacks, and it's precious Kirk Cousins that loves the Lord. And he is so sweet. And then it's that little Mariota man who is beautiful, and his wife, and he loves his baby, and he's yummy and sweet. And then Patrick Mahomes, honey, Patrick Mahomes. And if you watch that, I'm telling y'all, if y'all watch it, y'all will fall in love with that little thing, and you'll be worried to death about him. Okay, he is the age of my children. I could have birthed him, and I feel like I should have. And I would tend to him. I'm worried sick. All right, that little thing. I was in Denver, Colorado, doing a show the night that the Denver Broncos beat the Kansas City Chiefs, and little Patrick Mahomes had the flu.
and still played, and they had to give that little thing a bag of fluids. And then he went out there and played in that snow. Okay, if you watch him in that quarterback's thing, oh my Lord, he did something to one of his feet. It was a fracture or a sprain or something, and he kept saying, "I'm good, dog, I'm good, I'm good, dog." And they were like, "You don't have to play." He was like, I'm good, dog." And that little thing hopped on one foot and played a whole game and threw that ball from up in it and flicked it and did it. And I have never seen anything in my life. I'm worried about him because everybody around him, his family, if y'all not gotten into this, y'all need to do a deep dive into this bunch of yahoos. Honey, you talking about some yahoos. Okay. He's got a brother named Jackson who's a TikTok star. On the sideline, while everybody else is working, like, you know, dogs trying to win a football game, he's on the TikTok doing. And then Patrick Mahomes has got a mama who is still wearing a bikini. Good for her. Good for her. And then he's got a little wife that he met in 8th grade. That little thing's been dating her since 8th grade, and it's really sweet. And in this series on Netflix, he loves her, and he wants to be a good daddy and a good husband, and he loves the Lord. He's got faith. And that little thing's working and doing in an ice bath, and they're rubbing him down, and everybody's beat on him in every game, and he says, "I'm all right, dog, I'm all right." And then his wife, Brittany, needs attention, but who doesn't? Who doesn't need attention? And if I were a child like she is, and somebody gave me $90 million, I'd act a fool too. You know, I would. I acted a fool when I was her age, and I didn't have 10 cents. All right. And you'll see on this series, like they're working on him, and he's playing with one foot and doing and barely hanging on and holding up everybody around him. And she is wanting to take selfies. And she's like, "Come over here, take this selfie." And doing that, and he's hopping over, taking a picture. And then, if y'all didn't know this, which I'm sure you have heard this, Kelsey and Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift is running the United States of America. And now she's going to the ball games, and you know what? Her uterus is aching. I know it is. Her uterus is aching, and she wants a baby. She wants a baby, and it's time. It's time for her to want a baby, and she wants to breed with that big old Kelsey boy. Of course she does. Of course she does. They're both tall. I mean, I could see it. And then little Taylor Swift looks like she's got a sweet spirit. And you can tell that she's worried about little Brittany Mahomes needing attention. So ESPN had them in the box, and you could see Taylor holding her hands and singing with her and dancing with her, and had a look on her face like, "I better do this or she's going to burn this thing down." But don't y'all know that Taylor Swift looks at that big old Kelsey boy's mama and thinks, "Look at her, she's got on a sensible shoe." She's got on a sensible shoe and a nice jean, a high waist with some stretch. And don't you know that Taylor Swift is thinking, I know that little doll put in a pot roast in the crock pot before she came to this NFL football game so that they would have something to eat when this thing was over. And you know that his mama browned that roast in a skillet with flour. I know. Of course she wants to have a baby with him and his people. Anyway, thanks for letting me go off on that rant. It's just been on my mind. I'm worried sick. Thank y'all. I'm worried.
So they said, for 10 weeks, you're going to do CrossFit 3 days a week, and you're going to do the paleo diet. The paleo diet is what God put upon this earth to sustain us. And He knows what we need. So it's lean meats, fruits, vegetables, nuts, berries, and seeds. So if you can run it down and kill it, dig it out of the ground, pick it off of a bush, you can eat it. That means no dairy, no grains of any kind. But when they take you lean meats, fruits, vegetables, nuts, and berries, you think, that's not so bad. Okay, but no dairy, no grains. When's the last time anybody in here got off of white flour? Anybody, can you clap? Can you clap or are you too weak? Anybody here been hooked on heroin? Anybody? I've never been hooked on heroin, praise God, but I was raised watching Shaft. I don't know if y'all watched that when y'all were little on TV, and they would always have somebody getting off of heroin. It looked like a booger. It looked like an awful booger. And I'm not trying to belittle that, but I'm telling you, I shook getting off of sugar and white flour. I was drinking coffee 24 hours a day. My teeth got yellow. I had to have those bleached. My husband said, "You are so hateful. Will you please eat a piece of white bread?" But Church of God Beacon, I did it, honey. We did it. And I mean, then they took our after picture. It took, 10 weeks later, and I did not lose that much weight. It was like 8 or 9 pounds, but my body turned into somebody else's body, honey. And it was pretty cute. And I leaned out and I thought, oh my gosh. And so then they took our after picture, and I made sure I got a spray tan. And I had a really good bra on, and I took that picture. And I'm ashamed to tell y'all, but I won that competition. No, stop. I don't deserve to be applauded. I know y'all are thinking, oh gosh, Leanne, that's wonderful, but what happened? What happened, Leanne? I'll tell you what happened. I did okay for about 3 weeks, and then I spotted a tortilla. That's what happened.